All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. First off, thanks to everybody for coming out. This is a pretty good turnout for Friday in the middle of the day. I'm Coco, and this is Brandon. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah, Brandon Bai, from Michigan originally, but been in New England for 8 years now, and happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So basically, we're going to have an interview with Brandon. We're going to ask him some questions that can help all of you out. And then we're going to open it up at the end for you guys to ask him questions. And then Brandon has a few jerseys for whoever asks the best questions, so he'll give some of those out. And then at the end, we have some cards that he can sign, and then some snacks and some drinks for you guys as well. So, you have a question?
Oh yeah, questions at the end, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
What keeps you working out?
Oh, here, we'll save those for the end. We'll save them for the end. Just don't forget that question though, all right? All right. So yeah, who would you say has been your most impactful role model?
For me, my most impactful role model, there's two for me. It's the soccer side of things and then the life side of things. Mm-hmm. And on the life side, my dad. I think he's always been in my life, and always he was a coach he was a coach before I was born, and an American football coach, and he's always pushed me to achieve my goals and to be a better person, a better athlete, and everything like that. So I would have to say him. And then on the soccer side of things, role model is Terry Henry.
Okay.
Soccer player. If you guys know who that is, of course. I see some smiles out there. They know. But yeah, I think he was someone that I think I had like the first FIFA game in like 2006 or something like that. And he was on the cover of it in his Arsenal jersey, and it was somebody that looked like me, playing obviously at a very high level, and his talent was different levels. So sure. I think for him, for sure.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites too. I'll throw that in.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a lesson that you learned in your youth days that still applies today?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different lessons that growing up, different things that stuck with me. But I think something that always did was consistency and working hard every single day and trying to just get a little bit better. Whatever it is, if it's in class, if it's at the park, playing basketball when I was growing up, or playing soccer, at practice, trying to just find things to just make myself a little bit better every single day. I think that was a big thing that stuck with me, and then I try to continue to do that, even now. Yeah,
for sure. That 1% every day. It sounds cliche, but it definitely is a real element to getting better every day.
Absolutely.
What are two things that you learned outside of sports what are two things that you learned that are important for you outside of sports that you learned through sports?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two things I would say is like communication, and obviously whatever sport you play, everybody talks about communicating and teamwork and those things that are buzzwords around sports, but it's massive around life too. I think communication and whoever you're dealing with, whether it's your parents or your coworkers or your classmates, whoever it is, your teammates on the field. I think communicating is such a big thing, because you can understand how they're feeling, or what they saw on the play, for instance. But you can equate that to life in so many different ways. So I think communications and teamwork is a really big thing.
Definitely. I'll add to that one. I feel like when I was playing sports, one of the most important things that I learned was like momentum. And so let's say you're in a game and the momentum's against you, and what are you going to do to stop that? Like, you can't just give in. The crowd might be against you, the other team might be in a run. I was more of a basketball player. It's kind of a game of runs, but in soccer, there's momentum's huge too. It's like you gotta find that moment where you stop that momentum from going against you and turn it towards you again. So
for sure, and I think like on that point, momentum is such a big thing in sports. And when you feel that momentum going your way, you have to take full advantage.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's in life too. Like you start to feel things going the right way, whether it's okay, yeah, I just got a new job, or oh, I just got an A on this test, or whatever it is, and you start racking up these things where all of a sudden, yeah, that's going my way. Okay, now sports is going my way as well, and then different things like that. I think is something to be aware of, and when those things are going well, to keep pushing forward.
Definitely. If you can break down your game day routine for us, how would you say that looks like?
Yeah, so my game days, look a little different, whether it's home or away. And for instance, like I'll give you the away schedule. Usually we fly into, say we're playing at Charlotte or Nashville, one of these teams. We fly in the night before, and so we check in the hotel, have dinner with the team, and then get to bed obviously on time, get your sleep, and then wake up in the morning, get breakfast. Usually we have like a window between like 8 and 10 o'clock, so you get your breakfast at any time. Usually for breakfast I'm having like an omelet, 3-egg omelet with some different stuff in it, piece of toast, maybe avocado toast, and then going on a little coffee walk with the team. Usually the guys are trying to grab a coffee or whatever it is. I don't drink too much coffee, especially on game day, but I'll walk with the guys just to have some chats and to hang out. We have lunch around 12 o'clock, have something small there, and then I go straight to a nap. I usually nap on game days for probably an hour and a half. Wake up, go to our pregame meal, 3 o'clock, and then have that. Usually it's chicken, pasta, rice, broccoli, something like that. Really simple, easy to eat. And then shower, get ready for the game, get on the bus, and then all of a sudden you're at the stadium, pregame meal and stuff like that. And then you're on the field and you're warming up for the game, and 7:30 game starts. Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about consistency. Can you get a little more specific for us about how consistency has helped you in your playing career?
Yeah. And actually, like for me, there's something that pops in my head: consistency. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, NBA player for Oklahoma City. Some guys know who that is, of course. But I was watching the Netflix show, the basketball
Starting Five.
Yeah. Thank you. And he talks about consistency too, and I think it's something relatable that I've tried to do my whole life, and he talks about it as well as like you try to be as consistent as possible, whether it's in practice, in your warm-up routines, in your practice habits, in your post-game recovery, stuff like that, in your sleep, in your breakfast, in your day-to-day. I think trying to be as consistent as possible in those things really lets you get to the next level. I think that's really important for me, and consistency when it comes to my training habits too, like showing up and being locked in every single day to practice or to whatever it is. I think is really important for me to keep building, and not only for me, but to show, I've now been in the league for 8 years, and to show the younger guys that, look, to consistently be at this level, you have to be consistent. You have to be, working hard and be locked in every single day.
Definitely. When I was an athlete myself, I would say that consistency was something that I developed probably in high school, and that was something that I wish I had developed earlier. A trainer of mine taught me that you're only as good as your routine and your habits, and from like when he really drilled that into me, that's when I was never taking a workout off. I was never taking a practice off. I was pedal to the metal from that point forward. So I would definitely say that consistency has been super important for me in real life as well.
Absolutely.
How do you recover physically?
Recovering physically after games is tough, because you're putting your body through a lot of work on game days. But I think it's important to number one, eat well, to sleep well, and to move your body a little bit. Whether it's going to ride the bike after the game, or doing cold tub, ice tubs or hot tubs or whatever it is, sauna, all these different things to get your body, back to the, ground level, and then you can start working again. But yeah, I think it's really important for me. The sleep and the eat part is massive. Eating right and fueling your body again, because you just put it through the ringer.
Yeah, for sure. How do you bounce back after a tough loss, whether that's physically, mentally? What's your bounce back like?
Yeah, I think, look, like, sports, life, whatever it is, I think, you lose. That's life. You can't win all the time, even if you think you can, or, obviously every day I go out, whether it's practice, whether it's games, I want to win, and I believe I can win. But look, at the end of the day, there's losses that happen. So to be able to, number one for me, to like look back on it and realize, what went wrong or what could have gone better, and then clearing that from your mind after whatever it is, 24 hours or 48 hours, letting it sink in a little bit, understanding, where it went wrong, and then clearing that from your mind and moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing is moving on, even if it's, you do talk about losses like a game, but you can even talk about losses like, a play that didn't go your way, or, you lost the ball or turned it over, or whatever it could be, or you got scored on, it was your fault. Like bouncing back after that, I think is really big.
Yeah. So you definitely say that you try to reflect and then keep it at reflection, not just dwell on the loss.
Exactly. And I think that's the big thing where you see, a lot of young athletes, or even athletes at my level, is like, one thing goes wrong, and then all of a sudden, the second thing and the third thing goes wrong. And I think it's really important to not compound those mistakes. Understand that, this went wrong, but how can I bounce back? How can the next play be better? How can I get back on track? And move forward.
Definitely. What's one thing that you wish you'd been told at their age? So these guys are in college, and then you guys are all middle school age. So let's go middle school age first, and let's go college.
For sure. When I was in middle school, wow, what would I've wanted to hear? Honestly, I would have wanted to hear, someone like me now, and ask them questions. I didn't really have that ability to have a role model to someone to look up to that was where I wanted to be, at a professional level, or even not really that many college role models. And so I would just want to ask them questions and understand, like, what would you go through to experience this? And then I would also say, as simple as like listening to your coaches, listening to your teachers, listening to your parents. As simple as that is, like, I think at that age, like, you start to think you know everything.
For sure.
And you're starting to understand how life works. But at the end of the day, like, those elders, whether it's your teachers, your parents, your coaches, they know because they've been through it. And to understand and to listen to them. Wow, for the college guys, I would say to work hard, because look, you have, whether it's 4 or 5 years, whatever you have in college, that experience comes and goes, and so quick too. Like, I remember, I was a freshman in college, and then you snap your fingers and it's like your senior year, and everybody's moving on and doing different things, and every year you get a new class of freshmen, but you lose those seniors, and those things happen so quick that like, appreciate every second of it. Hang out with the boys a little longer, study a little longer, understand that, like, those 4 years are packed full of experiences that you'll never forget, and friends that you'll have forever. So understand that and enjoy it.
Definitely. How would you say that you block out distractions?
It's tough. I think the world we live in, with social media, with our phones being attached to us at all time, there's so many distractions in life. But I think for me, like, when I get into the facility, I try to leave my phone in my locker and try to be as present as possible with whatever I do. Being in the weight room or when I'm working out, even in the off season, trying to stay off social media, trying to just be present as possible in those moments when you're working out. And then I think there's a good time to be present and then to detach and you can have these distractions, whatever it is, social media, whatever it is. But I think in those crucial moments where you're working out or take time to read something you like, whatever it is. I'm more and more into reading these days, and it's something that takes me away, that keeps me present. And yeah, it's a good distraction. I think limiting those distractions, but also like distractions, that's life. I think that's understanding that those things happen, but trying to limit them and tweak them as much as possible.
For sure. You said that you didn't have very many people in the seat that you're in now to talk to growing up. At what point did you realize that you were going to go pro?
When did I realize I was going to go pro? I think, in high school, in basically every stage of my life, whether it's high school, college, professional level, like I never of course, when I was, a middle schooler, really young, I was like, I want to be a professional soccer player. But that never was really, completely realistic in my mind. It was more like, at the middle school level, as soon as I get into high school, I want to make the high school team. As soon as I get into high school, now I want to be a starter. Now I'm a starter. Now I want to be all conference or all state. Now that I'm in college and I'm a junior, in high school, now that I'm in high school, I want to get a college scholarship. And all of a sudden, boom, I got a college scholarship. So it was all these little steps and little goals that I set for myself. And then once it was in college, it was start that over again. How can I work as hard as possible when I'm a freshman in college and be that starter? From that starter, now I want to be, all conference or helping my team, score goals or whatever it is. And setting these little goals in small steps, every part of the way in order to. Then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, wow, I've made it this far. Yeah. And then again, in the professional level, getting drafted. I was drafted in 2018. I was drafted number 8 overall. And, that was a big step for me because I came from a college at Western Michigan that wasn't really a soccer school. And so once I got drafted, it was like, let's start over again. Like, how can I come into preseason, my first year and make a name for myself, and understand that I'm nobody again. In college, all of a sudden you're a senior and you're the big man on campus, whatever, and on the team, and then boom, you start over and you have to start over again and build yourself. Yeah. And every step of the way, that's what I did.
Yeah, for sure. That's like the progression of elevating. Every time you get to the next level, you have to start over again. You're the little guy again.
Exactly.
Last question of mine. So my platform is called Harmony, and every interview, every piece of content that we put out, it's always meant to kind of help someone and help them live their own life harmoniously. So when life is getting crazy for you, what do you do to bring yourself back to center and live harmoniously?
To bring myself back to center, I would say, I try to be as present as possible. Whether it's detaching from my phone and reading, or hang out with my family and just being around them, things like that I think are massive for me. And then being in nature too, I think is something that I really enjoy.
Definitely.
Getting off my phone and just being outside, touching grass, as people say. I think that's big.
Gotta touch grass.
Exactly, and I think that's something that. I've learned over the years, and I think it was at first it was a struggle because I didn't know what I needed to do to cope with these growing things. And now I'm a professional soccer player, and now there's so many distractions. Now I'm in a big city of Boston, and it's like there's so many things that are at your fingertips. But detaching and doing things like reading and just being out with friends or family, stuff like that, just to bring yourself back, I think is big.
Definitely.
Who was the one who inspired you to play sports or soccer?
I think I always just enjoyed like sports in general. Enjoyed, the teamwork, the bonding that comes with sports. I think whether it was basketball or football, soccer, all these things. It was just like, being with a team, having a goal. I think that was the biggest thing for me. Good question.
First joined soccer, what was your dream?
What was my dream when I first joined soccer? To be a professional soccer player. I think this was my dream, and I've slowly came to that goal.
Sophomore in college, and I want to ask, like, what's the next step for me, like, to make it pro? How hard it is or how difficult it is to make it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's very difficult. I think it's, you look at, high school soccer players, and I think they talk about, or high school, athletes, and they talk about 1% of those high school athletes get to play college sports, and then 1% of those, college athletes get to play professional sports. So I think it's really difficult. But I think, every step of the way is trying to be the best on your team and trying to, lift your team up. I think the biggest thing for me was in college. My school was at Western Michigan. We weren't really a soccer school, but all of a sudden, my junior, my senior year, we were really good, and we were all of a sudden, ranked nationally. And with the team exposure, you get personal exposure too. And I think that was really big. So without my team being really good, I don't know if I get recruited. I don't know if I get seen by these professional scouts, stuff like that. So I think lifting your team up and understanding that, with that success, your own success, you get that as well.
So, like, I want to ask, how difficult it is to play in the MLS and to face difficult opponent like that? How do you handle those situations?
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think the training environment, prepares you for that every single day, and training with some of the best players and training with good coaches and understanding that that you are at the level, even though you see guys like Messi or Busquets or these guys across the field from you, and okay, I have to play them today. Like, look, we're in the same league, and we all can play, and I think that's the biggest thing is understanding your preparation and stuff like that prepares you for situations.
Like, in your life, there's a point where you felt like giving up in soccer, right?
Yeah, you asked like if there was a point where I felt like I was going to give up.
Yeah. You need to overcome those stuff.
What made me overcome it? I think just the fact that I knew I had more potential. Because those thoughts creep in for sure, and knowing that I have more potential to be better than what I am today. I think that was always something that popped into my head, and something that I always knew is I can do whatever I want to, and I can achieve whatever I want to, and so that was big for me.
So was there someone by your side to help you overcome those things, or was it like by yourself?
I mean, I think I have a support group for sure, with my family, my sisters, with some old coaches and stuff like that. But I think you have to know and feel it inside your heart, and know that look, nobody else can do this but yourself. Nobody else can go out and work, when practice is happening or something like that, and okay, after practice or day off or something like that, there's nobody else that can go, do the extra runs, the extra work, stuff like that, except for you. And understanding that, and then, going to execute.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Wesley, and I'm happy to be here. And my question is, I know you play as a midfielder, and it's like a competitive position. How did you manage to compete with other players?
Yeah, understanding that we're all there to compete, and I think every day I show up to practice and try to do the best I can. I think that's all you can ask for, and understanding that we're all on this even playing field, we're on the same team, but I want to play, and I want to achieve the things I have set out for me. So I think that.
What was the biggest thing that helped you get to where you are today?
The biggest thing that helped me get to where I am today, I think perseverance. I think perseverance with, going through life and going through high school sports, college sports, the professional sports, the ups and downs of everything, the losses, the wins, the everything. I think staying as even as possible, not getting too high, not getting too low, but then understanding that you have to show up and work every day. It's not going to be given to you.
What do you think got you noticed by the scouts?
I think for my particular position, I played midfield in college. I was playing like outside mid, outside like winger, and they saw me as a potential project, as someone that wasn't like fully developed yet as a player, and they saw potential in me.
When you go against tough players and have tough days, how do you get back the belief that you can do it?
Yeah, something really tough. I think understanding that every day there's going to be struggles and there's going to be problems, but bouncing back and understanding that you're here for a reason. You're where you are for a reason, and understanding that, look, tomorrow, today could have been a rough day and you could have lost, or you could have been struggling with whatever it is in practice or whatever it is. But look, tomorrow is going to be another day and another chance to prove yourself.
How do you handle pressure against big teams?
How do I handle pressure against big teams? Understanding that the ball's still round, and look, they have to do the same thing as me: lace up your shoes and play. So I think understanding whoever it is has the same 2 feet as me, and a chance to prove yourself.
If you could tell yourself some things from 5 years ago, what would it be?
If I could tell myself something from 5 years ago, keep working, keep living, and understand that you have more to achieve.
Did you sustain any almost fatal injuries, and if you did, how did you physically and mentally overcome them?
Yeah, I think I had a couple big injuries. One in particular, I did my ACL in my right knee. I was out 11 months, starting 2023 to 2024. It was a tough recovery, and it was a long process of surgery and not being able to walk and crutches and then slowly being able to run again and all these things. And 11 months is a long time to be out and away from your team. But slowly I knew that again, just like I was talking about earlier, every step of the way, get a little better, get a little stronger, get a little faster, and get back to playing.
What was one of your biggest obstacles in life?
I would say that injury. It put me out 11 months, and I'd never had that big of an injury with surgery and whatnot. So I think that was really tough.
If you could do anything differently, what would you do?
Do anything differently. I try to live with no regrets in my life. So I think where I am is where I put myself. But of course, there's things that I wish I could have done better. But trying not to look back on those things and trying to look forward is what I try to do.
What is the hardest game that you played, and how did you overcome it?
The hardest game I played. The hardest game I played was, I think we played New York City, 2021. It was cold. It was 30 degrees. I think it was snowing a little bit, and we ended up losing the game. And so I didn't overcome it that day, and that ended our season. But it taught me that you have to be ready at all times, and you can't take things for granted. We had the best team in the league that year, and we were upset by New York City that day, and it was a tough one, a tough pill to swallow. But I think I'm better for it now.
How did you calm yourself down when you were under pressure in your games?
how do I calm myself down? You know, with the crowd or whatever's going on, I think is there's a lot of outside distractions like we talked about, but understanding like look, you're in the moment at this point, and trying to be as present as possible. Trying not to see all the external distractions, and trying to just focus on what I need to do in that moment.
What do you do on off days?
What do I do on off days? I try to relax, eat some good food, play a little Fortnite, stuff like that, just to hang out. Any other questions?
What made you keep going?
What made me keep going? I think, like I said earlier, the fact that I know I have more potential and more to give.
I have a question in a parent's perspective. So
Absolutely.
back in the days when you were a youth player, I believe you traveled with your parents. So after the matches, how your parents react when the performance didn't go well?
Yeah, 100%. I get that question. I've got that question before, and it's a good question. I think it was funny because my mom always told me that, like, regardless of how I played, my mom was like, "I love you. You played great." You know, I think that was what she always told me. My dad was a coach, so he understood, you know, sports and understood the game, and he never, you know, even if I, you know, scored 3 goals and had 2 assists or whatever, he never praised me on those things, and whether it was basketball or soccer, whatever it was, but he you know, praised me, or he motivated me with the unselfish plays I made, with like the hustle plays I made, whether, you know, I ran all the way back and you know, had a steal, and then, you know, I passed it and we got an assist or a goal or something like that. I think those plays, the unselfish plays, things that, you know, don't stand out in a stat sheet, you know, things like that. I think that's where he tried to get me to highlight those in my brain, to push me forward for not just understanding that, oh, you know, you scored a goal, so you were great today. You know, it's like, okay, you can do so much more than just that. You can be, you know, a good teammate, a good team player, and do the little things that don't necessarily show up, that you don't see, but people that really understand the game and understand, you know, what's happening in the game, they see that and they appreciate that.